Hello, I'm Spender, and you're watching the AU review in Singapore for Music Matters 2015.
We're kind of at the end of your time here.
Yes. Yep.
What are your thoughts of this city? Is it your first time here?
I was here 10 years ago, playing at a reggae festival on a beach. And so it's been a while. I've noticed that there is, it's just a lot busier. There's a lot more money here. There's a lot more development. So it really is. It's a big, busy city these days. So yeah, it's amazing to see, and it's a exciting metropolis.
I have to ask about this reggae festival.
Right.
What were you doing 10 years ago?
10 years ago, I was playing saxophone as a session musician in a band, and it was a reggae band. And we got brought over by a reggae, sort of like a Rastafarian society of Singapore. And it was interesting. We were put up we did one show, and we spent, I think, 5 days. For some reason, they flew us in 5 days early. And then maybe it was because there was a show, it was cancelled. Anyway, I just remember waiting around a lot on this sort of man-made tropical island called Sentosa for 5 days waiting to play a reggae festival. And the most memorable thing, I think, would be the monorail that circumnavigates the island.
Gets you to the beach, gets you to the mainland.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's all about monorails. I'm sure there's probably a few monorails have sprung up. This is the kind of town that strikes me as a kind of monorail kind of vibe.
That's right. That's right. It is a city of technology and
yeah.
It's a city. I mean, it's
a modern,
it's a city,
thriving metropolis. Yeah. I mean, I'm just looking out the window. You can't see people at home or at work or on the public transport or wherever you are, hopefully not in a moving vehicle. But just through the window here, there is a very tall building with an enormous boat. It looks like a boat on top of it, which actually looks like there's like soil and trees growing up there high off the, I don't know, is that like 68 stories we're looking at?
At least, yeah, that's the Marina Bay Sands, and there's a bar, famous bar, and the infinity pool up there. The water comes off the edge, which is terrifying.
I'm not good in infinity pools. Yeah. Just visualize Kramer in a bathing suit having a panic attack, and that's kind of where that's where I'm at.
That's the aesthetic that you're achieving when you're up there.
Yeah, that's right.
Fair enough. Let's talk about your year so far. New music. There's been shows. There's been travel.
There has.
I guess talk us through a little bit about your year to now.
Year's been good. I've been spent some time in Los Angeles writing. So basically, I've been working on a whole lot of material, and I'm finding as I'm getting older and not necessarily wiser, but the pace of my ability to get work done has slowed, but the quality has hopefully improved. So I've kind of now got a pretty good collection of songs that I'm just tinkering away with, and I don't know quite what to do with them yet. They do need to be released and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, I'm just, I've also become really involved with writing score for film, and so I've had a couple of big visual projects which are quite time consuming and a very different way of writing music to what I have been, which is more like obviously like an indie pop sort of model. Yeah. So it's an interesting transition to make. So yeah, that's where I've been.
Do you enjoy the film scoring? I mean, I guess you have to if you're doing it.
Well, yeah. Well, that's not necessarily true. I think a lot of people don't enjoy things they have to do, but I am luckily enjoying it greatly. It's a very different way of approaching sound and music. And
it must open things up too for your Spender songwriting.
It does. It's interesting because you're working more as creating a very specific palette. It's less about I've got something to sing about that's inside me that I need to get out, and I've got 4 minutes to do it, and it needs to have a chorus, and it needs to repeat that thing. It's very exciting to go just create a piece of music with no lyrics for 6 minutes that makes people feel sentimental, or do the same thing that makes people feel angry or creepy, or whatever the feeling is. So it's fantastic to just be able to really focus in on actual communicating a simple human a single human emotion.
And there's that collaborative process that exists too between yourself and the director that is different between a collaboration between you and a producer.
Exactly. It's two very different systems that have got different cultures, different working patterns, working relationships. You know, I think people in film, they have their shit together, really, well, generally, and there's a lot more people involved, so it's a tighter ship. So, you know, there's deadlines, and it's which of course there are in the music industry. I'm not in any way detracting from the efficiency of our fine music industry in Australia or the rest of the world, that is, but it's a different, it's very different.
You're approach. A part of you're a cog in the wheel rather than
exactly. Yeah.
So coming to Singapore, where does that kind of fit into plans for this year?
Well,
and looking forward.
Yeah, I'd actually was asked to come to Music Matters last year, and I wasn't able to do it. I think I had something else. I was working on a play, music for a play, so I didn't have time to come to Singapore last year. So just sort of tucked it at the back of the drawing board, and this time around it was like, well, I've got some new material, and I just wanted to sort of see how it's at, see what was happening. Yeah, that's what.
And what's coming up next for you?
Well, I guess what I'm most excited about is starting to release some of this new material, which goes without saying. But I'm also excited about I'm looking at different ways of releasing and sort of presenting my music. So at the moment, for the last year, I've sort of become obsessed with podcasting, and it's a real movement that I want to become part of and sort of really understand how to integrate my music into that format, because I think it's a very interesting method of delivery of you know, to build an audience that you can have direct sort of updated music going to them without having to go through the normal process of ingesting into a digital streaming service and all that sort of. So yeah, that's what I've been sort of playing with the idea of, which is a whole other world. So.
And is there more interest from you personally after spending time in Singapore to try and tackle the Asian region, or less, or? Yeah,
I mean, it's baffling to me still. If anything, a lot of the time I spent in the conference was sort of in awe at the size and the nature of the industry here, and also what is happening in the world of digital streaming and how that's changing territories and all that blah blah blah. There's a lot of marketing talk that I've sort of had to learn to translate. For example, leveraging territorial advantage. No, what was it? Someone said something about leveraging, and it was great. It was a real. I guess, I don't know, if a musician started talking about the sound of an analog tube, it would become as much a sort of a gobbledygook to someone who didn't know what you're talking about. But yeah, anyway. So there's definitely. I've always been fascinated with Japan, and I would love to sort of be more involved in that region.
Have you spent any time
Yeah.
there?
I've been over there and did a whole bunch of shows and played a great festival there, probably about 6 years ago, called Green Room Festival. And actually, I met someone from a promoter in Japan who potentially could be a good contact for further work there. So that's something that's come through. Well, it's something that's there, an opportunity, a door has opened slightly.
And that's what these events are all about.
Correct. Yeah, it's about sort of not having a high expectation, but being there to be ready if there is an opportunity. Yeah.
Tommy, thank you very much for your time.
Thanks, Larry.